attending. This is the Tuesday, July 21st, 2020 meeting of the Public Safety Beer and Regulated Beverages Committee of the Metro Council. We'll need a motion for this pursuant to Governor Lee's Executive Order number 16 regarding electronic meetings as extended by Executive Orders number 34 and 51. I'll need a motion that this meeting agenda consists essentially of essential business of the Metropolitan Council, and that meeting electronically is necessary to protect the health, safety, and welfare of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. I've heard a motion properly seconded. All in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed? Okay, so we'll move forward very briefly with a roll. Vice Chair Johnson. Vice Chair Johnson, are you present? I saw Councilmember Nash. Councilmember Roberts, are you present? Councilmember Roberts. I saw Councilmember Rosenberg, you're present. I hear Councilmember Swope, he's present. Councilmember Taylor.
Present.
Councilmember Vercher. Councilmember Vercher. So it looks like we're missing Councilmember Vercher and Councilmember Roberts. Okay, we will now begin. We'll start with Resolution 2020-431, Bradford, Welch, and others. The sponsors request Mayor John Cooper to include a representative from the Community Oversight Board, a representative from community organizations and advocacy groups, and a representative from the Fraternal Order of Police on a committee to select the next police chief. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All right, Councilmember Bradford, I believe I saw you in the queue, so I will turn it over to you to discuss this resolution.
There will be no discussion tonight. I plan on asking for another one meeting deferral.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Bradford. Do I have a motion for one meeting deferral?
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved and properly seconded. All in favor?
Yeah.
Anybody opposed? Okay, Councilmember Bradford, thank you very much for your input. The committee recommends a one meeting deferral. Now we will move to the second item on the agenda, RS 2020-439, Mendez, Toombs, and others. Sponsors, I do have a letter from the main sponsor to approve, accepts a grant from the Tennessee Department of Transportation to the Davidson County Sheriff's Office to provide statewide litter pickup and litter prevention education. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
All right, probably seconded. Do you have any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Any opposed? Resolution is recommended for approval. Next is RS 2020-448, Mendez, Toombs, and Pulley sponsors, accepts a grant from the Tennessee Emergency Management Association Agency to the Office of Emergency Management to provide resources to procure items, training, and or equipment for hazardous materials preparedness. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution is recommended for approval. Now we'll move to bills on second reading. We have BL 2020-322, Hurt, Toombs, and others are sponsors. Amends the Metro Code to prohibit Metro Nashville Police Department from hiring police officers who were previously fired or under investigation by another law enforcement agency for malfeasance or use of force. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Any second? All right. Okay, moving properly seconded. Now we have it on the floor. Councilmember Hurt, are you in the queue?
I am.
Okay, I'll turn the floor over to you. Go ahead.
Well, thank you very much. Chairman Pulley, I really want to thank you for hosting a separate meeting for the police and council members to discuss the proposed legislation, and hopefully we can come to a place where we all can be comfortable with how we move forward together. So with this legislation, this bill is basically the biggest issue with community and law enforcement is a matter of trust. If an officer has a history of abuse of any kind, they will not be trusted by the community or able to fairly solve problems. Therefore, hiring individuals with a history of malfeasance, misconduct, or discrimination can be detrimental to the department, to the officer, and the citizen. We must be proactive to ensure that we do not put our citizens at risk of individuals who are known for such offenses. And I believe that always prevention is the best solution. So with that, I am asking for this bill to move forward for approval.
You're going to move approval on Bill 322?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Any discussion on this bill?
I have a couple questions.
Councilmember Johnson, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. I personally don't have an issue with the language in here because it's already MNPD's policy to not hire someone that was previously fired or under investigation for maybe not malfeasance, but because that's a broad term, but use of force. I don't necessarily have an issue with that, except for I would like to see, and I'm wondering if sponsor would be open to putting some language in there to allow for people that maybe were accused before found to be not guilty, because there's a lot, anybody can accuse anybody of anything, but if you've been found, the investigation happened and it was found that the police officer did not use excess use of force, I just would like to see that language in there.
It is. It's indicated that an ordinance amending Chapter 2.44 of the Metropolitan Code to prohibit the Metropolitan Nashville Police Department from hiring police officers who were previously fired or under investigation by another law enforcement agency for malfeasance, for use of force. So
it's the under investigation part that I have, because somebody could be have had an investigation open, but it's the investigation. That's I just want to have that cleared up. Are you open to that?
Sure.
Okay. I would love that amendment to be put onto that, just so that, I don't want someone to have had an accusation and be found not guilty and then not be able to be a part of our force.
Right.
Okay.
Hold on one second, because I actually thought that was in there. It says
Councilmember, this is John Cooper. It actually is in there.
yes, I thought it was.
Yeah,
I just read
subsection
it.
C says that it doesn't apply to anyone who has been
President
exonerated.
Right.
Okay, perfect.
You have any further questions, Councilmember Johnson?
I do. One of the questions that was brought up was the fact that this is an ordinance versus a resolution, and if there was a way for this to be interpreted as against our charter, in that who has the ability to write policy for the police department. And so I know that it would remove all doubt if it was changed to be a resolution versus an ordinance. And I wonder if you would be open to that as well, just so that it will stand and not be questioned later on,
Right. Well, I guess the thing of it is that I know that as a resolution, it wouldn't necessarily be binding. And the only way that it could be is to come this way. And of course, our legal department has already shown me and provided information that this is a civil service decision, that we did not have the authority to do so. However, I do think that the charter needs to be updated so this can be, because I am sure, although I don't have any evidence and they would not provide that evidence for me, that this has been a practice that has occurred, maybe not with very many, but I do believe it has been practiced. So I would really leave it up to legal. If they think that it would be best served as a resolution and not as an ordinance, and I am willing to do whatever he believes is in the best interest of both the citizens and of the city.
Okay, Mr. Cooper, could you speak to that?
Yes, ma'am. So the Article 12 of the charter dealing with civil service provisions, it specifies that the Civil Service Commission is responsible for developing personnel policies, and those and the civil service rules are to include the method of competitive hiring. So there is one court decision from Davidson County Chancery Court that held that the council did not have the authority to legislate by ordinance something that is within the purview of the Civil Service Commission. So although this specific issue dealing with police hiring has not been challenged in court, I think the same reasoning that the court used would apply here.
Okay, so that's legal. So I'm just trying to make sure I understand. So it could be challenged as an ordinance, but it could not be challenged as a resolution. So maybe until we get the charter changed, like Council Lady Hurt is wanting to, would it be in the best interest of the language and the body's desire to have this reflected that it would be a resolution instead?
Having it as a resolution would certainly remove the legal question.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So where will we go from here, Mr. Cooper, if we wanted to change that? And how can it be enforced if it's not an ordinance? Because if it's not, then it's basically just wording. Just saying this is something that we would like to see, but no way to enforce it.
It would be enforced by the police department working through the Civil Service Commission and their rules. So it would not be enforceable as an ordinance, but it would be, you would be asking the police department to ensure that their policy includes these provisions.
So if you wanted to move forward with a resolution, would the appropriate way to do this be to withdraw the bill and then create the resolution separately? That's for Mr. Cooper.
We can turn this ordinance into a resolution for the this Friday's filing deadline if that's what the sponsor wants to do, but we'll leave that up to her.
Sure.
Could I point out also that this is Metro Nashville Police Department's policy. And I asked specifically if there was a situation ever in the history that anyone could remember anyway, or that was documented, that an officer was hired that was previously investigated or fired by another department, and the answer was no. So
So let me ask you this, because first of all, I don't think that they would be honest about that, because they would not admit to some wrongdoing. And the second thing is that they may not have been investigated for it, but they know that there is a history. So, because I know of someone where there has been some allegations about it that may not have been turned into an indictment, or the investigation may not have been fortified, but there was a concern. And not only that, but that person was hired within Metro Police. And this also is for those who are already police officers and may have had different instances or infractions for this type of misconduct and behavior. So I would be happy, Mr. Cooper, to go back and make this a resolution, but I would like for it to include any existing police officer who has been accused and any allegation that they must be investigated, and if found that that there's some type of penalty. Because, in the situation of Delkey and others, they were saying that they had been written up on several occasions because of such behavior that ultimately ended up in the death of someone. So I don't want to see that happen again.
So we've got a number of people in the queue. I'll just leave it up to the sponsor. Do you want to want us to make any motion relative to this now, or you want to hear?
No, not right now. I'd like to hear what others have to say.
All right, let's see what we got to say. So, Councilmember Nash, You're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All of these bills that have addressed police department policy, I've been a little disappointed in, only in that so many of them address issues that really, in my experience, we were already, they're policies that we were already using. But I guess I applaud the discussion because apparently people don't know. And so I applaud Council Lady Hurt and Council Member Sledge for bringing some of these forward so we can discuss and inform. I can assure you that the liability to the police chief and those supervisors around any officer that does a violation of someone's civil rights or use of force, if we're not dealing with it, that liability falls upon the supervisor. And that's always hammered into us when we were promoted and go to classes. So I can assure you we're looking out for that behavior, and those people are disciplined. I'm sure, I don't know the exact issues on Officer Delkey, but I can assure you that if there were previous violations of some sort, they were dealt with, and I can assure you can probably look up his disciplinary record. And he was not fired because they didn't rise to the occasion where anybody thought that this was going to be lead to some deadly incident later on. So that's all I want to say.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Virtue, you're recognized.
Thank you so much, Chair, and thank the sponsor for bringing this forward. Policing, the entire conversation around policing isn't nothing new for us on this council term, and it began before the shooting of Hambrick and Officer Delkey, but it goes back to the Clemens family and the Justice for Jacquees Coalition coming to the council meeting, and that spurred community conversation, and that also spurred a more active engagement between council, the police, and certain communities that feel they are being over-policed and not being heard. Chair, I say all that to say, and I stated this on another call that we had as it related to this legislation in a special call meeting. When it comes to your job, what you do and what the public knows you do or perceives that you do or not can be a huge disconnect. And we have to make sure that we are always acknowledging that. The average citizen is not a police officer, and they're not versed in all the policies as it relates to keeping a community safe. Until you had that meeting, Chair, and I communicated this with you, that it was a very informative meeting. I've been on council 5 years, had numerous interactions with the police, and still on that meeting, I learned a whole lot. I think it's incumbent upon us as legislators to make sure that we have a empathetic ear to the public. And what they are asking is for us to make sure that we have provisions in place to ensure that they are safe, quite frankly. I believe the sponsor, and I don't want to speak for the sponsor, is open to this becoming a resolution. And if we're going to go down that path, and I'll state this is how I feel on resolutions and ordinances. For me, they're all the same. They're legislation, they require a vote, and they do mean something. So when we turn this into a resolution, I want us to make sure that we have language in there that it's a clear stance, what we are stating as a body as it relates to the hiring practices, not trying to interject what we think the policy should be, but making sure that we are clear in that we are not we're not in support for the hiring of any officer that could jeopardize the safety of the community. And we know that, as stated on the public safety meeting, that this is a practice, but it doesn't harm for the public to know that as a legislative body that we will memorialize the practice. And it also sends a message to the community that, hey, we are listening to you, and we are paying attention to the policing practices in the city, Chair. So I know it took me a minute to get there, and thank you for your indulgence, Chair. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for comments, Councilmember Vercher. I don't see any others in the queue. Councilmember Rosenberg, you took your hand down. Does that mean you don't want to be recognized, or you do?
I do, please.
All right, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman, and I appreciate Commander Nash for his perspective on what we're doing now and the importance of that policy. I guess I would just add that I'm glad that this is our policy now, but that doesn't mean that that's not going to change in the future. We're about to undergo a leadership change in the police department, and seeing something codified is, I think, a positive thing to ensure it remains that way moving forward. Despite the fact that, as Councilman Nash mentioned, there's hopefully ample motivation for that to be the case anyway. As far as enforceability, I guess I'm curious about why the section of the charter that says the chief of police makes regulations with the approval of the mayor in conformity with applicable ordinances doesn't apply, but that's a conversation I guess I should have with or should have already had with legal. But if we don't, if this passes as an ordinance and it turns out that it's not an ordinance that can't be enforced under current charter, it would basically be the same thing as passing a resolution. It would be memorializing in nature. So I don't know, I just think that needs to be part of the sponsor's consideration as to where the bill goes from here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Councilmember Rosenberg. I don't see any others unless, Mr. Cooper, I see your hand up. Would you like to be recognized?
I'm sorry, Chair. I forgot to take it down from earlier.
No worries. So without any other discussion, I'll leave it to the sponsor. It sounds to me like if your desire is to turn this into a resolution, it seems to me appropriate that we would have a one meeting deferral and work on that so it could be filed by this Friday. Would that be appropriate, Mr. Cooper?
Yes. However the committee wants to proceed is fine. Whatever the sponsor wants to do, we'll do.
Well, in terms of making this a resolution, my question is, would it be most appropriate to proceed with a one meeting deferral in order to turn this into a resolution? As you said, it needs to be filed by this Friday, correct?
That's correct. To get on for the next agenda, the committee could either recommend deferral or approval with a re-referral. Since it's only on second, it wouldn't pass before the resolution came up anyway. So however you want to handle it is fine. You have multiple options.
Okay, so now that the procedural options are available, I'll turn it back over to the sponsor for a quick decision where you would like to proceed with this, and then the committee will take it from there.
Okay, so I'd like some clarification, and thank you, Councilman Rosenberg. And this is one of those, one of a trio of bills that I presented. And I did wanted to move forward with this one because I had several council members to sign on this one. So with the definition that Councilman Rosenberg offered, if this goes forward as an ordinance and it's passed, even though it will not be legally enforceable, would it still serve as a memorializing resolution that we would hope that the police department and the police officers will recognize and make sure that they do enforce it as it is a part of their ordinary practice.
Yes, ma'am. It would certainly be a statement of the council's intent. It may or may not be enforceable as an ordinance, but it would serve the purpose of expressing the council's intent.
Having said that, I would like to move forward with it as an ordinance. Thank you.
All right. I see nothing further in the queue. So I will now bring this.
Fully, I'm not on the committee, but I would like to ask a question if I might.
I didn't see your hand up. I'm sorry, Councilman Brown. Oh, there it is now. It was hidden from me. Go ahead.
That's okay. Two questions. One is, I think because of the kind of bill this is not amendable on third reading. Is that correct?
That's
Mr.
correct.
Cooper?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I know there was some discussion amongst the legally minded people about the definition of malfeasance, and whether that word was so broad that it was troublesome to have it in the both in the caption and in the bill. Is that something that we feel like we've resolved, or is there a need to tighten the definition of that word?
So that language was taken from other legislation as I was doing research, looking at other provisions from around the country. And so that word malfeasance is used in the definition, typically refers to the definition in Webster's, which is what we would refer to when a term isn't defined in the code.
Okay. And just trying to remember back to the conversation we had with the police, was that brought out to be counter to the wording within their policy, or was it consistent with it?
I think their concern, and I can't speak for them, but my recollection is that they felt that was broader than what their policy provides for, that pretty much any kind of wrongdoing could be malfeasance. If you filled out a form incorrectly, I think their position was that could be considered malfeasance, which I don't think is the intent of the sponsor.
Okay. Again, because this is just to state our intent, is having that in our code, not necessarily in our policy, problematic, or since it's not necessarily legally binding, is that not an issue?
I mean, if it's not binding on the police department, then it's not necessarily an issue. If it was going to be binding and the police department was having trouble interpreting what that meant, then the council may want to offer some kind of a definition for that.
Okay, so at this point, we don't necessarily need to fine tune wording. If we reach a point where we are somehow making this binding, we would have another opportunity to wordsmith if necessary. Is that a true statement?
I'm sorry, it cut out for a second. Can you repeat that last part?
I'm just checking to make sure. I mean, at this point, how this fits into the code doesn't apply to the hiring practices so directly that having a word that might need some wordsmithing at some point is not necessarily a problem. And if we were to create a process whereby what's in our code in Division 2 were to apply, we would probably have an opportunity to fix that kind of thing. Okay, all right. In that case, I think I'm comfortable with it. Thank you for that clarification.
Okay, so
Mr. Chairman, if I might, I was part of that conversation at our last meeting, and I know Assistant Chief had a little quandary about malfeasance, but as I looked up the definition, I don't think it should be problematic for us. The performance by a public official of an act that is legally unjustified, harmful, or contrary to law, wrongdoing, used especially of an act in violation of a public trust. And I don't see us hiring anybody with those kinds of actions.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion? All right, we're going to bring this to a vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
All right, so why don't we make
No.
this easy? Anybody who is a no vote, raise your hand, and I'll call them out. Councilmember Johnston, Councilmember Swope, and I'm going to be recorded as a no as well on this. I have some concerns about the legal ramifications and prior to us getting a new chief and the task force that the mayor's office has working on these things. So looks like the resolution, or excuse me, the bill passes as recommended for approval. Thank you, Council Lady.
Thank you, Chief.
Okay, now we'll move on to Councilmember Hurt. You have BL 2023-23, excuse me, that's Councilmember Sledge. Councilmember Sledge, Benedict, and others amends the Metro Code to incorporate certain limitations on police use of force into Metro Nashville Police Department's policy. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Councilmember Sledge, I believe I saw you on the call, so I'll turn it over to you as a sponsor.
Thanks. I'm going to withdraw this bill. I'd ask the committee to withdraw.
All right. Do I have a motion for withdrawal?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Yep.
No, hold on. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, y'all.
So we recommend for withdrawal. Thank you, Councilmember Sledge. Now we'll move to BL 2020-324 Murphy and Allen sponsors. Amend Section 16-110 of the Metro Code to revise the measurement method for retail liquor establishments for the minimum distance requirements needed to obtain a certificate of compliance. I have a proposed amendment offered by Councilmember Murphy. I also have a letter from Councilmember Murphy asking for us to approve this. So is there a motion?
Moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. Councilmember Murphy, are you on the call? If not, I know Councilmember Allen is. If either one of your sponsors, I'll turn it to you, Councilmember Allen, in the absence of Councilmember Murphy.
Yeah, I think Councilmember Murphy is running the planning committee meeting and couldn't be here. The amendment simply spells out a little bit more directly how the distance would be measured from a liquor store to a school, and this just takes into account if there's a fence, do we do it in a different way? So the administration had asked to add a minimum 100-yard distance, and both the sponsor and I, as a co-sponsor, were comfortable with that amendment, and that this amendment does that as well. I just want to clarify, there were several different versions that were mentioned in Councilmember Murphy's letter. What we ultimately ended up with in the amendments packet is the one that I would like to have moved. And I believe that Councilmember Councilmember Murphy approves of that one as well, although I can't speak for her. But certainly the other folks that I've been working with, we're all on email chains looking at that. So I would ask that someone move the amendment that's in the amendments packet.
Okay. Would somebody like to move the amendment?
Seconded.
All right. Any discussion on the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the amendment's added. Any other discussion on the bill? I see Councilmember Johnston. Did I see your hand?
Yeah, I just have a question, and I probably should have done this research before, but what is the current way that they are measuring the, like, what are we changing? And I know Council Lady Allen can tell me. You're muted.
Is that for Council Lady Allen, or is that for Mr. Cooper?
It's for Council Lady, well, either one, whoever wants to answer, but Council Lady Allen, you're muted.
Thank you. I get my buttons backwards. The language states that it's the customary path of pedestrian travel from the front door of the liquor store to the nearest location is what's currently written. And what this acknowledges is if there's a fence around the entire schoolyard property, that you would measure to the point where you could actually get into the schoolyard property.
Gotcha.
It has to be 200 yards, but at any event, it would still be a minimum of 100 yards to the property itself.
Gotcha.
Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? I don't see any hands. Okay, all in favor of the bill as amended?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we recommend approval. Next is BL 2020-329. Councilmember Benedict is a sponsor. Amends the Metro Code to prohibit the use of chemical weapons such as tear gas by law enforcement officers within the area of Metro government. Councilmember Benedict cannot be here, but she has asked for the committee to recommend withdrawal of this bill. So if I could have a motion for that.
So moved.
So moved.
All right. And seconded. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
What, may I discuss 1 minute?
Sure.
I don't want to belabor these. The Geneva Convention did prohibit the use of tear gas in warfare, but there were several countries, and the United States is one of them, in later agreements that did agree that it could be used for riot control. And I hope the public understands the difference in the use there. We don't use it as a poison gas to flush people out of hiding places so that we can kill them. We use it, and it's very rarely used, as we discussed last time, to disperse people and get them out of harm's way. Big difference, and I appreciate the council member withdrawing this legislation.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
I wanted to comment too.
Oh, I'm sorry, Councilman Vercher. I didn't, wasn't even looking for hands on this, so go ahead.
It's okay, Chair. I'm glad that this is being withdrawn. There was a lot of erroneous information communicated to the public and in the press regarding tear gas. Till this day, the military still trains with tear gas, and I know it's not, a popular topic to discuss as it relates to the deployment of such. But as a body, we should not be proposing anything that's gonna reduce the resources and tools that our police officers have at their disposal to help keep the community safe. So I'm glad that the sponsor withdrew this. I'm still a little disheartened that a conversation wasn't had with the police department as it related to how they utilize these tools before it got the community up in arms and very emotional. And we all know anything surrounding police in this climate is very emotional, is very sensitive. So I hope moving forward as legislators, we are a little more cognizant of that fact too. So that's all I wanted to add to Commander Nash's too. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councilmember Vercher. Appreciate your comments. Councilmember Johnson, I see your hand up. Do you want to be recognized?
Nope, sorry. I just forgot to take mine down.
Okay. All right. I don't see any others. So all in favor of the withdrawal motion?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Yep.
All right. Did I hear any opposed? No. Okay. All right. So we recommend withdrawal of this bill. Now we'll move to 2020-330 Hertz sponsor amends Metro Code pertaining to police officer civic engagement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Councilmember Hurt?
Thank you, Chair. I actually want to withdraw this 330 and 331. I have a brief comment that I wanted to make as it relates to it, though, because I just want people to know that over the past weeks, we've heard from hundreds of citizens demanding to defund the police, demilitarize the police, and like us, at least have some type of radical transformation within the police department, moving the beyond policing, and all of that is to me, is not what it is that we're looking for. We need public safety. And I want the citizens to know that their voices are heard and honest attempts are being made on their behalf. But after having the meeting that we had the other day, and there have been discussion, I am, and seeing the hashtag 8 can't wait. I love those policies, and many of them are already within the police department that they are utilizing. And I'm just recommending that they adopt the 8 can't wait policies. And I'm withdrawing bills 2020-330 and bill 2020-331.
All right, Councilmember Allen, I see your hand up.
And I've got to go to planning. Can I?
Go right ahead. We'll
Okay.
take care of this from here, Councilmember Hurt. Thank you for your patience. Councilmember Allen?
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Councilmember Hurt for bringing this to just opening the discussion, likewise with Councilmember Sledge and Councilmember Benedict. I mean, clearly we have heard a lot of people say they won't change, and they are looking to us to be part of that. And I think we're still trying to figure out what that might be. There are other cities that have some good examples of ways that we can take some of the burden off of police and dealing with mental health perhaps and homelessness to other agencies in a partnership type of arrangement. And I would hope that if not this committee, then some type of forum could be set up sometime fairly soon where we could have a public discussion, both to allow the police to continue to inform us on what is already out there, perhaps working with the commission that's going to be looking at the use of force policies as well. I mean, I think the more we can have public debate, the better people can understand what is contributing to safety and what items we could offload from the police. And I think they would appreciate that. So I would just ask if you could think about a way to help set that up and facilitate that. And I will certainly show up for anything you set up. So thank you.
Sure. And to comment on that, I think it's important to note that we are working with the mayor's office currently, this committee, in ways that the mayor's office can keep the committee updated on things that are going on. I think it's important for the public to know that they have their task force looking into the use of force issues that you described. And they also are working on the hiring of a new police chief. So we've got things at work from the mayor's office, and we do need a new police chief in place, and there will be community involvement, and they will keep us informed, and we will have the mayor's office periodically before our committee to discuss these things. So I think it's important to note those things are coming. You saw last week the public safety meeting where the police department was able to address a number of issues, and with the current climate being what it is, I can't imagine that won't continue on a regular basis. So with that said, I don't see any other hands here. So we are on Bill 330 now. There's been a motion to withdraw, so I will ask for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we recommend withdrawal. 331, briefly read the caption. Hertz, the sponsor, amends the code to require police officers to receive annual implicit bias training. Councilmember Hurt has already asked, imparted her wish that this be withdrawn. So I hear. All right, it's moved and properly seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it's recommended for withdrawal. Thank you. There's one other bill on there. It's 2020-335, Pulley and Style sponsors, amends Metro Code of Laws to make a violation of a mayoral executive order during a civil emergency a Class C misdemeanor. And there is a proposed amendment. So is there a motion?
So moved.
Moved and properly seconded. I'm the sponsor, so I'll give you a brief description of the bill. During the recent civil unrest, I'm sure you all saw the letter from our legal director, Bob Cooper from Metro Legal, who indicated to you all what this is all about. It was discovered during that unrest in late May that when the mayor set the curfew, it really lacked enforceability. So they had to rely upon a governor to declare a parallel curfew, basically empowering Metro under the governor's order, which in effect served as a one-time remedy. So I think it's important to note that a Class C misdemeanor is the lowest level misdemeanor, $50 fine. It does carry no more than 30 days in jail, but if you talk to the judges, they'll all tell you that is very, very extremely rarely applied. So the intent basically is just to cure a gap in the current code, which simplifies, which simply fortifies future civil emergency orders. Now, I understand there's a proposed amendment by Councilmember Rosenberg, so I'll turn it over to Councilmember Rosenberg to discuss his amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
So as currently written, any executive order issued by the mayor that happens to be issued at the same time there's a civil emergency would be a misdemeanor. So if hypothetically a mayor were to decide that people issue an executive order that you can only drive red cars, and that happens to be issued while there's a civil emergency, then you're committing a misdemeanor by driving a white car. So this, one of the two things that this amendment does is say that the executive order has to be pertinent to the civil emergency. So like the example that Councilman Poley gave with the curfew. The second thing this does is sunset unless it's extended by resolution at the end of this term. I think many of us are comfortable with the measured nature of our current administration, but we don't know what things will look like in the future. And this is a lot of power to give to a mayor to be able to decide unilaterally that something is first a civil emergency, since the mayor is the one who declares a civil emergency, and then decide after that that something should be a criminal offense. So this says that we're going to keep this in effect. We can extend it by resolution at our convenience, in addition to saying that the executive order needs to be pertinent to the civil emergency. So I'm open to discussion and would appreciate your support.
Okay. Is there any discussion on the amendment? All right, I believe we moved the amendment, did we not? Or have we moved the amendment? Let you just discuss it. So let's move the amendment then. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
All right, it's moved and properly seconded. I don't hear discussion, so let's vote on the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the amendment passes. So we're on the bill as amended. Is there any discussion on the bill as amended? All right, so we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yep.
Any opposed? All right, the bill is recommended for approval as amended, and so we have nothing left on our agenda. I know people are waiting to get their other committee meetings, so we are concluding the Public Safety, Beer and Regulated Beverages Committee is adjourned. Thank you all for your attendance.